Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Are you right? Great to be here. Lovely to see you all. I feel great. This is going to go very well. Because this is a big year for me. Big year. Because I turned 30 this year. I'm 30 years old. And the big year did not get off to a great start. In February, my dad went to see Still Alice. Now, if you haven't seen it, it's a very brilliant but very harrowing film where Julianne Moore plays a woman who gets Alzheimer's disease. Now, my dad starts to bring this film up with me over lunch when I'm around at my parents' house. And I say, I don't want to talk about this with you because I don't care how old you are. No one wants to imagine that happening to their parents, right? And my dad said, oh, don't worry. That'll never happen to me. And I said, what? And he went, I'm never going to get Alzheimer's disease. And I was like, have you found a cure? Because I really feel like you should have told someone. And he said, no, it's not that. It's just when I'm 75 years old. What the hell is that? Now, I understandably looked horrified. He must have misinterpreted that horror for some sort of confusion because he clarified by going, blah. Now, this is the nice thing about my parents' marriage. When one of them does something crazy, the other one doesn't tell them off. They see it as a challenge. It's like, oh, you have laid down the crazy gauntlet. Fetch me my whack job steed. Because at that point, my mother's first and only comment on this whole plan was just to say, do it in the garden. I'm not cleaning up after you. And then the big year went from bad to worse. My mother said, Nish, there's a problem with your comedy. I said, what is the problem with my comedy? She said, well, you're a left-wing comedian. I said, why is that a problem? She said, well, all comedians are left-wing. It's boring. Now, here's the thing. I have no idea if all comedians are left-wing. I've not done the research, right? Hold my hands up, right? But I have a theory. I think it is hard to write right-wing comedy. And I know, because I've been trying. This is the best I could come up with for right-wing comedy. Hey, don't you hate it when you start earning over £100,000 a year and you move up an income tax bracket? Doesn't work. But here's the thing. All I think that's going on is stand-up comedy is an art form wherein it's easier to express left-wing political beliefs. I think it's just easier. That's why it feels like all comedians are left-wing, right? But if you look over the entire cultural spectrum, it balances itself out, because I think there's as much stuff that's inherently left-wing as there is inherently right-wing. Because I would argue, as much as no one wants to see a right-wing comedian these days, even fewer people wants to watch a left-wing action film. Like, I am left-wing, and I love action films, but I have no desire to watch a left-wing action film. I have no desire to watch the Avengers apply to the UN Security Council to pass a resolution so that they can fight Ultron. I don't want to watch Iron Man get bogged down in a diplomatic quagmire. Largely because that was the plot of Iron Man 2, and it was a shit film. But I think it's great that culture finds a way of balancing itself out. It means left-wing people have some stuff, right-wing people have some stuff. Left-wing people have comedy, right-wing people have action movies. Left-wing people have folk music. Of course they do, because a right-wing folk song would be harrowing. Because a right-wing folk song is basically, my dad works in a factory, the factory closed down, but it was unprofitable, so good. That is not something anyone wants to see. No one wants to listen to Mumford and his Nazi sons, right? But I think it's great that culture finds a way of balancing itself out. Left-wing people have some stuff, right-wing people have some stuff. Left-wing people have comedy and folk music. Right-wing people have action movies and board games. Because when I was growing up, the board game I played most often, I now think it's insane we allow children to play this game. I'm talking, of course, about Monopoly. I cannot believe Monopoly is a game. First of all, it's called Monopoly. That is a financial crime. We have governmental bodies designed to prevent. There's no games named after other financial crimes. There's no embezzlement ball. Hey kids, build your own Lego Ponzi scheme. People are worried about Grand Theft Auto. Monopoly reinforces a right-wing way of running your economy as the right way to do so. Because all the public works, the electric company, the train station, you can just buy them. And the more of them you own, the more money you make. What happens if you go to jail? Nothing, as long as you can afford to bribe your way out. And the worst thing that can happen to you when you go round a Monopoly board is you land on the square that says, pay your tax. What kind of message are we setting for children? I was playing Monopoly with my 8-year-old cousin the other day, and he went, no. I said, what? And he went, tax. I was like, great, there he goes. Future investment banker in our midst, that's absolutely ideal. And I know that there's a lot of board games that have weird messages and send kids strange messages. Battleships is basically telling children the best way to fight a war is when you can't see where you're shooting. Snakes and Ladders is basically encouraging animal cruelty. And chess, if you think about it, basically just promotes slow, tactical racism. So... I am aware that a lot of board games send out strange messages. But I believe with Monopoly, it's an easy fix. I think it would be very easy to bring Monopoly back into the political centre ground. All you have to do is add a third deck of cards. Because at the moment, when you get Monopoly, you get 2 decks. You get Chance, you get Community Chest. I suggest we add a third deck of cards called Consequence. So we can teach these little turds something about real-world economics. And the consequence cards could be anything. For example, your hotels are vandalised by a group of youths who've had their community centre closed down due to governmental cutbacks. Pay £50,000. You have to employ a private security service due to soaring crime rates caused by the underfunding of the police force and the long-term social consequence of the economic inequality that's fueled your rise as a property mogul. Pay £250,000. You fall in a crack in the road that has not been fixed due to underinvestment. You go to the local hospital, but it is closed down. Your foot falls off. Please have to go and collect £100. It would have been £200, but we cut disability benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure speaking to you. My name is Nish. Goodbye.